Welcome guys. After a long time, we are coming with a new series of videos where we are going to understand file handling concept in C. Now, file handling is very important because unless we are using file handling, we cannot save data permanently in the programs. Now, in advanced programming languages, we are having concept of database management or database handling. But in C, to store a data permanently, there is only one option, that is file handling. And therefore, we cannot have any project in C programming without using file handling. To save data even after closing your program, we need to use file handling. And therefore, file handling is very important topic in C. So let us try to understand this file handling completely. Now, if you are new to this channel, please subscribe my channel and click on like button and also click on notification icon so that you will get new updates of my videos. So let us start to understand what is file handling. Now, file handling is a technique in a program to work with different files in a program. But to understand the file handling, we need to understand some concepts. So let us start with some concepts. The first concept that we have to understand in file handling is file itself. What is a file? And why we need files? What is the reason to use files in our program? That is the first thing we have to understand. And then what is the file? How it works behind the scene? What exactly file is from computer point of view? And how to use it programmatically? The third thing is we have to understand files in more details. How they are created, how they are identified, how the nature of file or type of file is identified. So all those things we have to understand in detail. And the fourth one is what are different operations possible on files. So unless we are understanding the concept of different file operations, we cannot use them in a program. So let us see one by one why we need file. Suppose you have developed one program, you are entering data, the program is working fine, you are very happy, you are just enjoying the data entry and you are observing different outcomes of the program. The entire work is over, you close the program, you shut down the computer, and the next day you are coming back on your desk, you are opening a program and you are trying to watch the data entered yesterday. And boom, you lost all the data. If whatever data you have entered or you have worked on is not saved permanently on hard disk, you cannot use it next day. We are using programming techniques to solve different real life problems, and we have to enter and store data permanently so that we can get solution to the problems. If we are not storing this data permanently, then we will lose the data, and this is not applicable or useful in real life. Therefore, we need a file to store data permanently. Even when the program is closed, even when your computer is shut down, you should store the data permanently on permanent storage devices, and this is possible with the help of file. And this is the need why we use files in our program. The next one is, what is a file? Now, file is an object used by your computer to store a data. So whatever data is stored in the form of files. So without files, your operating system cannot work. So different types of data is stored permanently on your hard disk. And to retrieve this data, we need to use different files. Now files can be utilized by your operating system, or we can access them programmatically. So file is an object, independent object that can be stored on a permanent storage, that can be fetched in your volatile memory in your RAM, and that can be accessed through different programs. It can be utilized by operating system. So file is an object that stores data. Okay, let's move ahead. We have to understand files in more detail. So to understand, we have to first think about the file name. Now file name is very important. File name is unique for every file in one location. So again, we have stored files at different location. So in one folder, we can have only one file name. We cannot have duplicate file names. On a different folder, you can have same file names, but in one folder, one file can be having a only one name. Okay, same name cannot be repeated. So you can say the file name must be unique. Now we can replicate the file names by adding some additional words or numbers on it. But with the same title, we cannot have multiple files at the same location. Either we have to change the name or we have to change the location, a folder in which it is stored a file. The next one, the file is having a unique extension. Now what is this extension? Now you can see on computer. Okay, now you can see here, these are different files and the file names are different. Now you can see different extensions. Now here you can see the type of file. Okay, now here it is a makeup file, it is application file, okay, MS-DOS file, text file, SWP file. So these are different files used in a computer. And to understand these types, whether it is a text file, whether it is a Word file, or whether it is an Excel file. Now to understand this, every file has its extension. Okay, now in this folder I have just hidden the extension. So to view the extension of file, you can go to the view option and here you can tick mark file name extension. You just click on, just select it. Now here you can see different extensions. Now what is extension? Now file name with a dot. Okay, so here you can see cpp. Now this is a file name .exe. Now .exe is an extension. Now exe stands for executable file. In the same way we can use txt. Now txt is used for text file. So txt means text file and it can be opened in notepad. Exe, it is an executable file, it will run on its own. If it is a .doc or docx, it is a document file that can be opened in Word, MS Word. Okay, so extension will indicate the nature of file, and by understanding the nature of file, the operating system understands in which program the file has to be opened. So Word file will be opened in Microsoft Word or related software. Excel file will open in its respective software. If it is a Photoshop file, automatically that will be opened in Photoshop. So different softwares are creating different types of file so that it will be easy to understand whether the file contains image or file contains text form, file contains some different types of data, and accordingly the programs are written to read the file. So file extension is very important. Normally to save a simple text file, we are going to use .txt extension. To use a binary data, we are going to use .dat or .bin extension. So this extension will decide the nature of file, the type of file. It will also decide in which software that file has to be used. Okay. So from operating system point of view, this file extension is very important. By default in Windows, it is hidden as I have shown you. You just go on view option of folder and you can make it on. And then you can see different file extensions available in that folder. Next one is we have to understand what is the purpose of file. The purpose of file is to store the data. Whenever we are creating a file, its main purpose is to store a data. Now sometimes that data has to be stored for a temporary purpose. Later on that file has to be deleted. The data might be used for storing the actual records. Data can be used in the form of encryptions, or it is in the form of binary or different formats. So, but basically the purpose of creating a file is to store the data. The next one is every file has a size. Now you can see the file, the size of file, now the last column. So every file has a specific size and it has some properties. Now what are those properties? Now properties means the file is only for a reading purpose. You cannot write the or you cannot edit the content of file. You can say these are the different properties, and we will see these properties in detail later on. Okay, so these are the four things we have to understand with the files. I will repeat again. Every file has a unique name in a particular location. We can have same file name at a different location, that is possible, but at one location we cannot repeat file name. Every file has a name along with extension. Now extension is 3 or 4 letters given after file name followed by a dot. Okay, and the file extension will decide the type of file, the nature of file. It also decides which software is going to use this file. The purpose of file is to store the data. Every file has a size and some other properties, and that properties will decide the way file will work. So this is about file name. Let us move towards the next point. Now we have to understand file operations. What are different operations possible on file? Now file operations means the actions those we can take on a file programmatically. So there are several options. The first option is creating a file. Second one, once file is available, we have to open a file. Now what is opening a file? Now, opening a file means loading that file from permanent storage device to volatile memory, that is your RAM. Okay, so the fetching the file from hard disk to RAM is called as opening a file. Now if you want to create a new file, again we can use fopen function, that is file opening function. To open a file, we are going to use a specific function used in C, that is fopen. Now F stands for file and open means opening a file. We will discuss this function in detail later on. Next operation is reading a file. Now if file already has a data, then read that data byte by byte or word by word or text by text, character by character, whatever. So reading the data from the file, that is the third operation. Similarly, writing data in a file. Now here very important, when we are saying writing, if the file does not have any data, no problem, but if file already has a data, that means we are going to overwrite the existing data. So writing means overwriting existing data. Now accordingly, there is one more function that is called as appending a file. Now appending a file means what? If file already has a data, then adding a data at the end of files. That means original data will remain as it is and a new data will be added at the end of file. In case of writing, it will replace the existing file, existing data. In case of appending, it will go to the end of file and then it will add the data. So that is very important. So to avoid the data loss, we have to always use append mode. Otherwise, there is a possibility of we may lose the original data and we will add a new data in a file. And the last one is a closing file. We have to close the file when all operations are over. Closing a file will save all the data permanently on your permanent storage on your hard disk. So if you forget to close the file, there is a possibility of losing the data. So don't forget to close the file when your all operations are over. That is very important. Now this is about theoretical points of file handling, and next one is we have to use these files practically. So let us try to understand different concepts of how to use these files programmatically. The first point we have to understand is a file pointer. Now what is file pointer? So already we have learned pointers in C. Now pointer variable stores address. Now file, all characters in capital. This is a structure available in stdio.h. So file is a structure and that can be used as a data type. So whenever you want to create a file in a program, we have to use this file structure and it can be used as a data type. So we can say file space the variable name. Now here variable name will indicate the file, but we cannot create file in a program. The file has to be created on hard disk in RAM, and therefore instead of using file variable, we are using file pointer. Now pointer is used to store addresses. File pointer will store address of file which is already open in RAM, in volatile memory. So fopen is a function that will open a file in a memory and its address will be returned. So here you can say fopen returns address of file. So it opens a file in the memory and then it returns its address. Its address we have to store in the file pointer. Once file pointer contains the address of file, we can use same file pointer for various operations to be carried out on a file. For reading a file, for writing a file, for appending a file, for rewinding, forwarding, seeking, different operations are there. We will see one by one. So for each file operation, we are going to use this file pointer. And finally, we have to close the file. Again, to close the file, we have to use file pointer. Now, if there is a problem while opening a file, suppose it is not, if you are using a fopen function to open a file and it is not possible to open a file. In that case, fopen function returns null. So whenever we are going to use a file, we are going to use a file pointer. We are going to use fopen function, and that whatever value is returned, that will be stored in the file pointer. If file pointer is null, that means file does not exist or file is not opened. We cannot use any operation. And if it is not null, we can use different file operations. So this is about file pointer. Here, just remember, file pointer stores address of file. By using that, we can carry out different operations. Now let us try to understand more details about fopen function. Now, how to use the fopen function? Now, fopen function is used to create and open a file. So both. If file does not exist, we have to create the file, and to create a file again, we are going to use fopen function. So it requires two arguments. The first argument is a file name. So file name, we have to specify which file you want to open, and the second one is a file opening mode. Now that is again something very important to understand. Without file opening modes, we cannot open any file. So what is file opening mode? So file opening mode will decide how to open a file or why to open a file. Okay, so one more point about file name. When you are giving a file name, you have to give the complete path of file name. Otherwise it will be taken from your working folder in which program is saved. Hmm? And you have to also give the file extension, whether it's a text file, .dat file, .bin file, whatever, .obj file also. So file name should be given with full path, actual file name, and dot extension. This is the first argument. The second argument will be the file opening mode. Now file opening mode is a character that defines the purpose of opening a file. Okay, so there are three basic file opening modes. Actually there are six, but first let us try to understand three first. R stands for read only. You are going to open a file only to read. You are not going to write. In this case, file must already exist, because you are not going to write. That means you are not creating any file. So if you want to use R mode, file must already exist. Hmm? The second one is a W. W stands for write. Now, if file exists, it will be overwritten. Already data, original data will be lost. And if file does not exist, then it will be created. So to create a new file, we are going to use W. Hmm? And the third one is A. A stands for appending the file. Now here, if file exists, then new data will be added at the end of file. And if file does not exist, it will be created. So in both cases, W and A, if file does not exist, it will be created. Only in case of R, the file must exist. If it is not exist, we cannot open a file. So these are basic three different modes of file handling. Now let us try to do it practically. Okay, now I will give the demonstration of creating a file. So let us go on creating a files. So here I am going to give the demonstration. Okay, now here I am using a DOSBox based Turbo C. Okay, you can use any available editor, no issues. Now here, before typing the actual program, now as we are using DOSBox, we cannot use any drive on a hard drive. So DOSBox virtually uses a particular folder only. So here what I will do, just to simplify, we will go and see the where it is installed. So this is, on a C drive. Here you can see turbo C++. Now inside a disk, now this part can be only accessed within a program. So instead of creating a separate file here, what I will do, I will go in a bin folder, and here I will create a new folder. Let us say file test. You can create it anywhere. Now file test is a folder that I have created, and in this folder we are going to create a new file by using a C program. So let us open the editor. Okay, now this is a new program. I will save it later. So let us type the program. So first let us include the files. Let us start the program. Now the first thing we have to create is create a file pointer. Now here file, F-I-L-E, all letters capital, star FP. Now because of star, let us say F only. So F stands for file. So star F will indicate a file pointer. Okay. Now here F can store address because it is variable, pointer variable. Now here I am going to use fopen function. Fopen, and let us say the file name. Now when we are using a file name, we have to first specify the location. File test is a location folder name, slash. Now in computer, when we are writing a C program, we have to give double slash, because single slash indicates the next character is a escaping character. So double slash we have to give, and then we have to suppose say test file, or just say no, only test only. Okay, and it is a text file. So let us say txt. So test is a file name, .txt is an extension. So just complete the first argument. The second argument, now here we want to create a new file. Therefore I will use just small w, double quote complete, and semicolon. Now already we know that there is no file with test.txt. So here what I will say, I will write if f is equal to null. That means if file is not able to create a new file, it will return null. So here we can just give the message printf file cannot be created. Otherwise, we can give the message file created successfully. Now, it's a very simple program. I'm just using fopen function and get ch just to halt the program. Okay, now let us run the program directly with control F9. Okay, now here you can say file created successfully. So enter. Okay, now here let us open the folder. Now here you can say test.txt file is created. Now this file is created programmatically. Now I hope all of you have understood how to create a file. Now as it is a first session, I have just given the theoretical background of file handling. What is file, why we need file, what are different features of files, what is meaning of file structure, what is meaning of file pointer, and what are different operations used on file. And then I have given a programmatical demo of how to create a new file. Now here I am just creating a file at a particular location, but here I am not going to check whether it is already exist or not. Okay, I am not going to add any data inside a file. We are not using any other file operations. We are just creating a file, and even without closing any file, we are stopping the program. So at the end of program, even when the program is over, you can see the file already exists. Now, if you got any value from this video, please put in comment. Do you like this video? and do it programmatically. And if you have any error or if you have any suggestion in a program, you can put it in a comment box. So I will try to give answers to your comments or your queries, and your comments will also encourage me to give more and more videos. Share this video with your friends and do it practically. In the next video, I am going to show you different file operations, how to use these file operations on a file, and we will have more details in a programming part. So thank you very much for watching this video. Wish you happy learning.